this is something new. Scientists claim Christians who believe the Bible have brain damage. Well, I do not, for one, agree with them, because when the results of the veterans who have been examined show that they believe and they have faith, most of them having been Christians, of course, after they come back from a war situation, it's beneficial for them to have found God, because Christ does exist. He is real. And many a person has been saved by calling on the name of Jesus Christ at the time of danger. And he does save them. And I will go into one example, a true life example recently that took place with a deep sea diver off the North Sea oil rig. Now, let's go into this first on your Newswire by Baxter Dimitri. Scientists from Northwestern University have continued their war on Christianity. They published a study in the journal Neurophysiologia stating that Christians who believe in the Holy Bible have a form of quote-unquote brain damage. According to these scientists, devout Christians have less cognitive flexibility than people with damage to certain areas of the prefrontal cortex are more likely to convert to Christianity as adults. In other words, science is now attempting to say that those who believe in the Holy Bible are brain damaged. It's not only Christians, of course, it's also Hebrews and many who are Muslims who believe in the Holy Bible, what writings are in there. The study was led by Jordan Grafman of Northwestern University and utilized data from Vietnam War veterans. Okay, this is very essential. He used data from people that were in a live war situation. And we know that the Vietnam War was just terrible. I knew, because I was in community college at that time, we had the draft at that time. And some of the people were coming back when they were on leave, and they were saying, don't go. It's just a terrible disaster, because it's just like lambs being led to the slaughter. Now, the veteran, it was a terrible situation, obviously, because they knew that all the batches of classes of people that were being sent, of course, a lot of them would not come back. Now, that's a terrible situation to be in, because psychologically, you're saying, this is my end. And what do? You're saying, because it's in our DNA, it's in our soul. Our soul knows that this is not the end of our existence. It's bound to us, because we are special beings. We're not just like rocks or trees or little animals. We are human beings made in the image of God. And we have the breath of God in us, and our soul talks to us. Now, the veterans here were chosen because a large number of them had damage to the brain area suspected of playing a critical role in functions related to religious fundamentalism. In other words, these people, most of them came back thanking God that they came back. That's for one. You know, I would, if I were in their situation, I would say, thank God I'm back home and I'm out of that hellhole where I could, have a bullet flung into me and God knows what, into my brain, or lose an arm and a leg or whatever. So they're happy to be back home, and they are thanking God. Now, these people here saying, no, there's something wrong with them. CT scans were taken from both a group of healthy veterans and the aforementioned group. In addition, the majority of those tested identified as Christians. Christian Journal reports, the scientists who conducted the study believe that adherence to religious fundamentalism is a result of some kind of form of brain damage, whether it be by brain trauma, a psychological disorder, a drug or alcohol addiction, or simply a particular genetic profile. Also, the scientists believe that in the near future, through various kinds of mental and cognitive exercises, the adherence to religious fundamentalism can be eradicated. Oh, they're going to change you and brainwash you so that you don't believe in them. You believe in whatever they want you to believe in. See, they're changing the nature of the human soul this way, or in other words, that's what they aim to do. Science has yet to disprove the possibility of God as a result. have resorted to calling those who adhere to a belief system as being deranged and damaged. The world over, there are roughly 2.3 billion Christians, according to the Pew Research Center, most of which adhere to the basic belief of God and the moral absolutism as described in the Holy Bible, which is considered religious fundamentalism. As part of the aforementioned study and the generic description of religion fundamentalism, apparently all of them are considered to have some form of brain damage. Let me laugh. Ha ha ha. The laugh is on you though, because we're going to have the last laugh. Now the research into where I'm talking about those who believe in the writings of the Old Testament and those who believe in the writings of the New Testament. The research, and God bless you, their research into such was incredibly biased because the subjects were all veterans. All veterans. So the ones who survived and came back, Vietnam, we're talking about Vietnam, we're not talking about Desert Storm or something. We're talking about a very, very vile and dangerous war, okay, in the middle of Asia somewhere, far from the United States, where people were coming back. I mean, if they did come back bodily all right, psychologically they had seen so many things that they were traumatized. They were traumatized. So yeah, they would call on saying, Jesus Christ, help me. Christ, what is going on around me? Please help me. And they would, of course, be helped. Now, the research into such was incredibly biased because the subjects were all Vietnam veterans. How can one make a generalization about all fundamental Christians without including a wide variety within the study? By studying only Vietnam veterans, majority of whom had faced injury in one particular part of the brain, can you imagine? You come back as a Vietnam veteran with a damage to your head. I mean, you would have motor sensory problems, you would have visual problems, you would have reading and cognitive problems, you would have sight problems. Okay, these are very, very serious damages to the body. And of course, they're young people and they would have them forever during their lives. This is very serious stuff. You know, for the life of me, I don't understand the way these scientists think. It's as if they just got out of a mental hospital themselves with half their brain. Now, going back, by studying only Vietnam veterans, the majority of whom faced injury in one particular part of the brain, psychologists are attempting to connect to their beliefs. The results can easily be interpreted to say that Christian fundamentalists have brain damage. But what about the rest of the community that was left out of the study? Why weren't fundamental Christians who had not faced injury or the trauma of war included in the study? Astonishingly, rather than believe in a creator, science would have us believe that humanity originated from either comet dust, Martians, or have evolved from an ape or a fish or something absolutely nothing. Science has one sound problem with this determination that God does not exist, that they have no evidence of the latter. Rather, evolutionists utilize indoctrination, militant ideology, and demoralizing methodology to obliterate any remaining decency. One question in regard to the argument of creation versus evolution. If humanity evolved sequentially from nothing, how did intelligence originate? Regardless of your stance on the previously mentioned psychological matter, if you define your moral obligations to uphold simple laws such as not to murder, not to steal, please know that the origins of such have resulted from adherence to the Bible, or what science is called religious fundamentalism. And also, we notice that when you do sin, you have an equal and opposite reaction, because it's not beneficial for you to sin. People who sin do it at some point in time get their karma back to them. And unfortunately, it also hits to their family members. Now, the adherence to these simple biblical points have translated into laws which are still carried out across the world today. Tracing the origins of modern society, we find the morality that encompasses our legal system is defined squarely by the Holy Bible. Sources here are Bobby Azarian. Scientists have established a link between brain damage and religious fundamentalism by Ross Dory of 2018. And also another source is Zong, Cristofori, Bulbalia, Cougar, Grafman, Biological and Cognitive Underpinnings of the Religious Fundamentalism. It was published on Neuropsychologia in 2018, and also Pew, The Changing Global Religious Landscape, Pew Research Center, 2017. Okay, so you can understand that this is skewed. These scientific findings could be tossed out the window or into a garbage can because they are not all-inclusive. They don't have a, a placebo type of, a control group. And then you have the veterans, and then you have maybe people from society or people from other countries. I mean, from other religions. They have to have an all-inclusive group, and a control group, not just Vietnam veterans. Why don't you take Desert Storm veterans, or just military people, or military people from the armed forces that have a desk job? I don't know. Everybody, all-inclusive. This, to me, is just going out the window. This cannot be called scientific research. But let me go back now to the story I wanted to tell you. It's a real life story. It's a real life story having to do with my goddaughter's brother. My goddaughter from England. She lives in Yorkshire. Her brother, a very handsome, tall, dark and handsome guy, a hunk, okay? He was a deep sea diver. He still is a deep sea diver in the North Sea. He used to work at these rigs, and their job was to go down every single day. They had to check the lines, the pipes, and all the things that pertain to all this proper procedure of bringing up the oil. And this was an ongoing maintenance that they had to do this every single day, and they were paid very good money to do this. And they would go down with a diver suit, because it was a lot of, very deep down, and they had a lot of pressure on them. And they would always go down in pairs of at least two. But at this specific day, the second diver could not go down with him. Let's call his name Joseph, okay? It's not his real name, but we'll call him Joe. So the second diver could not go down with Joe, but Joe had to go down because the job had to be done. Every single day, somebody has to check these pipes and the fittings and the connections, that nothing is loose. Otherwise, the whole rig could blow. Okay? It's very dangerous. So he had to go down. He was down there all alone. He was sitting there all alone. And he got so this man was not religious. Okay? He was a very modern man with all the things and the trappings and the temptations of the tall, dark, and handsome men of our age. And you can imagine what I'm saying, okay? Very sexually active with various partners, because and he had a fantastic job with very good pay, and that was his life. So he was down there all alone, and a thought crossed his mind in the deep of the sea, very deep down in the North Sea, under a rig, checking all this crap. And a thought crossed his mind. He said, if anything happens to me down here, no one will be able to help me because I'm all alone. And he was frightened that he could die right then and there in an instant, and nobody would be able to help him fast enough. And at that time, as he was looking out towards the deep blue of the deep sea, he saw in front of him a man dressed in a white garment from neck to toe, with his arms opened wide. And the man said to him, "Don't worry, you're not alone. I'm always with you." And as I'm saying this to you, my hair is standing on end. And from what I read in the Holy Bible, I think it was in the book of Revelation, that is an indication that an angel of God is passing in front of you. When your soul knows it. When you're talking about religious things and your hair stands on end on your arms, it's because an angel of God is standing in front of you. I just want to tell you that because that is written in the Holy Bible. This is not out of our deranged, demented brains that are lacking something, okay? It's written in the Holy Bible. It goes with our DNA in our inbound soul, because the body is the covering of the soul. So his soul knew who it was when he heard the voice of the person who stood in front of him in the deep sea, with his arms open wide, as if he's saying, "Come here to me, don't worry. I'm with you, nothing's going to happen with you, I'm protecting you, don't worry about it, don't be afraid." And when he went up, he told everybody what happened, his spiritual experience down there, that he saw Christ, even though this man was not religious. Christ took away his fear and gave him a very great gift that he shared with everybody. His family and his sister told me this. He came to her wedding and I met him. That was the only time I saw him. And she told me about his experience when he was down in the deep all by himself. So yes, Jesus is alive, and the people that believe in him are not demented. They do not have brain damage. I would venture to say some of these scientists who don't even do proper research have something wrong with their brain and also have an ulterior motive in coming out with reports like this that could be thrown into the garbage. I expect to have comments from you. I'm sure that there are many who will say I'm rambling and I'm clickbait, but I don't listen to them. So please comment if you'd like. Thank you. And God bless you and strengthen your faith. And to those who have not found Christ yet, I hope he knocks on your door and that you accept him.